Okay, you ready, Grandpa?
Hmm.
So we ended off the last talk where we were discussing falling into a fit versus falling in love. And there's a lot of questions I have, but for this moment, I remember you would say, okay, so falling into a fit is when you have a match, interpersonal match, maybe you have qualities that are similar or that complement each other, and you do one thing, I do one thing, this is working out, but this is interpersonal.
Yeah, you become allies. You still see yourself as separate individuals, but you're allies. You're helping each other get what you want. And again, it's self-centered or ego-centered. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that that eventually begins to be experienced as empty, as leading nowhere. And that's when you begin what I call wrestling with Shirley. Surely there's got to be a better solution. And often, and we live in a society that tends to encourage that, is well, you just trade this one in for someone else, and maybe you can find a fit, rather than trade in the old way of being together, of fitting and being allies. You begin to trade that into becoming mutual participants in something larger than yourself, than the promoting and protecting of yourself.
So that's what love is when you moving beyond to that mutual participation when you lose yourself, or what?
Yes. Love is beginning to see that we're participating in something much larger than this relationship. See, a relationship is a three-legged race where you try to to work in harmony with the other person, and eventually you begin to realize that'll never work. You can't always be in harmony with another person. You can only be in harmony with the music, with the flow, with the love of being loving. That's the only harmony. That's the only way harmony will occur. When you begin to see that there is a reality, there is an order we depend on. And that old saying, all created things render to the order they depend on and obedience. We must get to the point, if we want to optimize our life, get to the point where we see and respond to the order we depend on. And the order is the love of being loving. The order is the flow.
Any other thoughts on that, Grandpa? So you had that metaphor where there's two, or basically what you would do, it was an illustration. You would sit as a marriage counselor or whatever, and you would sit, and there'd be two people right here, and they'd have a balloon that represents their relationship. And as they're hitting the balloon back and forth to each other, you'd be talking to them. And then you would say, would you rather focus on the balloon or focus on the inquiry, or what?
Yes. See, this was not just with a couple. This was in a marriage workshop.
Hmm.
I would have everybody, every couple, blow up a balloon, and then I would say your assignment is to keep the balloon from falling on the ground. You can't catch it. You just have to keep bumping it so it doesn't fall on the floor. And then I'd start going back into what we were talking about. Um, and pretty soon, then they found themselves caught between, should I listen to what he's saying or should I pay attention to keeping the balloon in the air? They began to realize that there had to be more to life than keeping up this illusion that we have a relationship, but rather we're mutual participants in an inquiry.
So that kind of became clear to me earlier today when I was asking you about the relation about awareness, the pure awareness, which is the flow, right? And inquiry and the flow, are those extremely related? And is inquiry the only thing that can bring you to?
It would appear. It would appear that unless we become open, you cannot put uh, new wine in old wineskins. You have to empty the old wine, set aside the old wineskins and the old wine, and present an empty bucket. Every moment then becomes an opportunity to become aware of something new and bigger and transforming. And so, therefore, it's It's that attitude of openness and expectancy that Jesus, for example, was talking about when he said, "Ask and you shall receive; seek and you shall find; knock and it shall be opened unto you." See, so many of the stories that we have recorded in the Bible illustrate that the real issue is inquiry. See, starting from well, let's say start from Moses. See, when people began to say Moses as the leader, as the Sherpa, began to tell people there's more to life than living here in slavery. Maybe there's a new possibility. So he invited them into this attitude of inquiry, and as always happens, um, there's a price you pay. One price is you give up all your comfort, you surrender your devotion to your comfort zone, and you step out in where it's uncomfortable. But only there can you discover anything new. Only then will life's possibilities open up to you.
Yeah, thoughts on that, Kevin? So inquiry and the flow, those are just extremely linked. And the same, so inquiry is when you're stepping out of your comfort zone, you're seeking something more. But the thing is, basketball. When I'm playing basketball, I'm in the flow. Is that related to inquiry?
Yeah, see, you could just sit on the bench. But in order to get into the flow, you got to get out on the floor. You got to engage in the activity of playing basketball. And only once you begin to build up your speed and your stamina and your enthusiasm with the game, only then is it possible to suddenly find yourself in the flow. Ask and it shall be given to you.
And I guess if you go in there and you're not inquiring, you're kind of ossified and you have everything planned out. Okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Whereas if you're inquiry mode, I'm doing whatever.
Right.
I'm doing something I didn't even know I could do. Whoa, I just did a move. How did I even do that?
Yeah.
Because I didn't even think of that was even possible.
Yep. You got it.
Any other thoughts there, Gabba?
Or the other option would be to go out on the floor and feel inferior and intimidated by everyone in the audience and fear of making a mistake, etc. Then you can't get in the flow either because you're not in the attitude of inquiry, openly, expectancy.
Expectancy. And you talk about what is expectancy, and you talk about this also the idea of anticipated accidents and all that. What is this?
Yeah, what's the difference?
Or what was it? Prepared for surprises or something?
Yeah, something like that. Instead of expectations, see, when you have expectations, you try to make them happen. But when you have expectancy, then you're open to that wonderful surprises. What is it? Faith, there's an old saying, faith is knowing that all the rules will be fair, and there will be wonderful surprises.
Are all the rules fair?
Well, all the real rules are, yeah. There is an order we depend on. These are non-negotiable.
So speaking of faith really quick though, what is faith?
Well, again, I think it was Mother Teresa. That was her definition. Faith is knowing that all the rules are fair. There is an order we depend on. Or Martin Luther King said the arc of, how's that go?
The arc of the universe bends towards justice.
Bends toward justice. See, faith is having an awareness that the arc of the universe does bend toward justice. Enough said.
So now we discussed a lot of stuff. We talked about falling into fits. We talked about love. I have a lot more questions in regards to this, but in the Bible, one more thing. It says, Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself. So one idea is that your neighbor is yourself, though. But then also there's the idea of, and also love God with all your heart, soul, and strength. But everything is one, right? Is there a difference between yourself, your neighbor, and God? Or I don't know. Any thoughts on this, Gabba?
No, that's a good question to keep living in that state of inquiry, because it'll become we all become progressively at home in a growing awareness of that to which those questions are toward which those questions are leaning. Goes back to what I say, a question is an answer in the process of revealing itself. So as you ask that question, the answer is already in the process of revealing itself.
Any other thoughts on that, Grandpa?
No?
Just want to continue with another one?
Yeah, what time is it?
Am I doing a good job, Grandpa? Or?
Yeah, I think so.